Imagine waking up to the news that millions of people can now travel to the US visa-free, but not you, not your country, not even your entire continent. In a world where global travel is becoming easier for some, why is Africa being shut out? The United States has just updated its visa waiver program for 2025, allowing citizens from 40 countries to enter without a visa. But Africa, completely erased from the list. Oh, so the big question is, why? Is this purely about immigration policies, or is there a deeper agenda at play? Stay tuned, let's see Donald Trump's new policy and why these African countries were excluded. Some say it's about security. Others believe it's a diplomatic snub. And with Trump back in power, are we witnessing the return of his controversial travel bans? U.S. excludes Nigeria from 2025 visa waiver list, expands restrictions on African nations. In a move that has sparked widespread reactions, the United States government has released its 2025 Visa Waiver Program, VWP list, excluding Nigeria and every other African nation from visa-free entry, a continuation of former President Donald Trump's tough immigration policies. The updated list grants visa-free access to 40 countries, primarily in Europe, Asia, and the Middle East, while Africa remains entirely shut out. Even major U.S. allies like the United Kingdom failed to make the cut, although British citizens remain eligible under separate conditions. Stricter immigration rules under Trump's return. This exclusion follows an intensified crackdown on undocumented immigrants, which has led to the forced deportation of thousands of Nigerians, Ghanaians, and other African migrants in recent months. During his previous tenure, Trump imposed stricter visa policies on Nigeria, citing concerns over high visa overstay rates, fraud, and national security risks. With his return to power, these tough measures are once again in full force. Despite shutting out Africa, the U.S. State Department has added Romania to the 2025 visa waiver list, reinforcing the U.S. government's focus on countries with stronger border control policies and diplomatic cooperation. What this means for Nigerians. The Visa Waiver Program allows citizens of participating nations to visit the U.S. for up to 90 days without needing a visa, provided they obtain Electronic System for Travel Authorization, STA, approval beforehand. For Nigerians, however, this latest exclusion makes U.S. travel more difficult, adding to the visa bans, extended processing times, and increased rejection rates that have plagued Nigerian applicants for years. The U.S. government has frequently cited concerns over immigration violations, security risks, and fraud, leading to growing restrictions on Nigerian travelers. With Africa left out yet again, the decision raises questions about U.S.-Africa relations, as many African nations remain key economic and diplomatic partners to the United States. Full list of countries eligible for the 2025 U.S. Visa Waiver Program. European nations: France, Germany, Italy, Spain, Poland, Portugal, Switzerland, Netherlands, Sweden, and more. Asian nations: Japan, South Korea, Singapore. Middle Eastern countries: Israel, Qatar. New addition: Romania. As the Trump administration doubles down on its immigration stance, it remains unclear whether Nigeria or any African nation will regain visa-free entry to the U.S. anytime soon. But why has Nigeria and the entire African continent been completely left out of the U.S. visa waiver program? The exclusion of Nigeria and the entire African continent from the U.S. Visa Waiver Program, VWP, is primarily due to security, economic, and diplomatic factors. The VWP is reserved for countries with low visa overstay rates, strong security cooperation with the U.S., and a low risk of illegal migration. Many African nations, including Nigeria, have high visa refusal and overstay rates, which disqualify them from the program. Additionally, diplomatic relations and economic ties play a crucial role, and African nations generally do not meet the strict security and law enforcement collaboration standards required for VWP eligibility. Could this signal worsening U.S.-Africa relations under Trump's second term? If Donald Trump secures a second term, U.S.-Africa relations may face further strain. During his first term, Trump imposed travel bans on several African countries, citing security concerns. His administration also reduced visa approvals for African nations, signaling a tougher stance on immigration. While there is no direct policy linking Trump's return to power with the VWP decisions, his past rhetoric and policies suggest a continued restrictive approach to African migration. How did Romania make the list, while the UK was left out? Romania's inclusion in the VWP, effective March 31, 2025, is a result of its long-standing diplomatic efforts and compliance with U.S. security requirements. Romania strengthened border controls, improved information sharing with U.S. authorities, and maintained a low visa overstay rate, making it eligible for the program. Meanwhile, the UK is not part of the VWP due to Brexit-related complications and concerns over passport control measures. The UK also has a visa-free agreement with the US for short-term travel under different conditions, making VWP inclusion less urgent. What does this mean for Nigerians wanting to travel, work, or study in the US? Nigerians will still need to apply for U.S. visas, facing lengthy application processes and high rejection rates. While VWP inclusion is unlikely, Nigerians can increase their chances of approval by demonstrating strong financial ties to Nigeria, a clear travel history, and valid reasons for visiting the U.S. Is this part of a bigger plan to restrict African migration to the U.S.? The U.S. has increasingly imposed visa restrictions on African nations, citing concerns about illegal immigration, security, and overstays. Some analysts argue that these policies disproportionately affect African travelers while favoring European nations. If Trump returns to office, migration policies could become even more restrictive. Will African nations ever be considered for the VWP? It is unlikely in the near future, as African nations would need to meet strict security, economic, and migration benchmarks. However, countries like South Africa and Ghana have made strides in reducing visa overstay rates and strengthening diplomatic ties with the U.S., which could improve their chances in the long term. What can Nigerians and other excluded nations do to improve their visa chances? Nigerians applying for U.S. visas should ensure they have a strong travel history, provide solid financial documentation, and clearly state their purpose of travel. Advocating for better diplomatic ties and lobbying for relaxed visa policies could also help improve Nigeria's standing with the U.S. So, what do you think? Is this fair, or is Africa being sidelined once again? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more eye-opening insights, as we look forward to seeing you on our next video.